Oh, there we go. Alrighty. I can
Woohoo!
hear feedback in my ear. Can you hear yourself, Dylan?
I can't hear myself, but
I can hear you
I
twice.
can actually
Why
see
can
we're
I hear
live.
you twice? Oh, goodness. Why can I hear you twice? All right. I think. All right, Dylan, hold the fort down. We'll be right back.
I'm just going to do this the entire time. Let's wait for Dakota. It's entertaining, right? I'm feeling this. Well, thank goodness I'm the only one in the chat, so that works out, right?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. We are back, everyone. I'm not sure what's been going on tonight. We've had technical difficulties after technical difficulties. I can't ever get my computer. It always wants to shut off. Literally, I have it on just a few minutes before to get the stream ready, and I go away. I come back and it shuts off, and that's the only time it does it. And then the screen just goes black. And now we couldn't get it to broadcast. So we have 3 different versions of this video going up. But rest assured, the other ones will be deleted soon. But we already have 8 and 4 views on there. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Crazy says, hail to the chat. Crazy, how you doing tonight? I'm curious. Did you watch tonight's episode? I know that's kind of a weird thing to say for a Survivor recap. But yeah. Crazy is one of our mods. He's an awesome friend of the stream. So in the channel. So
Crazy?
He's hanging out.
Crazy, I just started watching Big Brother, okay? I'm getting through season 1. So if you, okay, look at me. If you watch Survivor, I will continue watching Big Brother.
Oh,
it's a deal.
It's a big one. And Crazy, you said, hey, you like the duo thing. And I agree. The duo thing, way better than me on my own solo. I like having you guys in the chat. That's the only thing that kind of takes away from that. It's less respondent to the chat, but I still like to bring you guys in. But you want those duos, so you got to at least try. The deal is you at least try Survivor. At least try it again. Go back to what was it, season 19? We said go back to season 19.
1920 Blood versus Water.
1920 Blood versus Water, and then we'll go from there. And then if you watch those 1920 and Blood versus Water, and you still don't like it, then we'll cut you some slack there. But at least watch it again. He said, not only did I not watch tonight, I haven't started the other seasons yet, but I will. Okay. Well, he says he will. So we're going to at least give him time to start that.
We appreciate your support.
We appreciate your support. We love having you here, but we need you part of the active conversation. I need your opinions, because you always give great opinions, and we like having you on. So yeah, get in there and watch it and start catching up and tell us what you think. But anyway, guys, pretty good episode overall. We didn't really have a lot of time to talk ahead of time before the episode aired, or before we went live. So I want to get your thoughts, Dylan. What do you think of tonight's episode?
It was good. I really missed 2 challenges in an episode. I like the format. I really do. I appreciate that they give us, like, you come back from tribal council, you let us know what's happening at each individual tribe and then go there. But I really miss the reward challenges. And then later on, getting the immunity challenges, it kind of gives time to like differ, to see a different perspective from every single tribe of who's good at this, who's bad at this. And it feels a little one-sided with right now how the game is being played, with like all the challenges and certain teams being a lot better than others and certain teams being worse than others. That was my take.
Yeah, and I would have said before tonight's episode that I still felt like most of the tribes were pretty even field. We just the third week isn't necessarily gonna or set. I refer to them as sets since they play in sets of 3. Or is that what I called it last time? So this current set or whatever. But it was a little bit. I will say And we're not going to worry about spoilers, because you're here. You've already seen the episode. I will say I was a little bit surprised that we're still like Baca is still succeeding, even with Gabler being in the position he's in, and that they're still so dominant. We saw him actually, he was not useless in the challenge tonight. He was actually getting some stuff done, and which is surprising to me because he is just lost. He doesn't have as much energy as everyone else, and that's obvious. So the fact that he was still able to do it, is with all that. I mean, of course, we don't know. That could just be a major topic going around camp at Baca, that they really all kind of have that same conclusion, and there could be someone else that's in his same position on the other tribe that we're just not hearing. And like I said, and I'll cover some more of this later in my notes, kind of based on how I worded it in my notes, but I do think that this is going to be, and I mean, you agreed, this is going to be like a thing. Something's going to come from this, all these discussions we're having. But it's starting to lose my train of thought. But I think we're gonna have more of this come to fruition. So that's what I was saying. So basically, even if that is the case on some of the other tribes, it's obviously not been didn't come to fruition the way this is going to, because we can. I mean, it's obvious. They're teeing it up, and if nothing comes from this, it's going to be a very big red herring that I really don't need on Survivor personally. Yeah. But
Gabler this week really did impress me. He is actually on our list. He's actually my guy of the week.
Oh,
genuinely.
Okay, genuinely, so we're already getting to that point. Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's good. He genuinely impressed me that much in the challenge, which I want to get to everything beforehand, but he did a lot. He was the one that carried in the challenge. He had these conversations that we're going to get into in a second at the Baca camp, and then also he was the one that did the last leg of his challenge, really bringing it home for Baca. And I think I'm all by myself now. I think Dakota has left me, so I think we'll get into it.
You're not by yourself. I'm still here.
There we go. Okay. I was talking about, we want to get into the Baca camp with the idol, with Gabler and that whole situation. What was your take on
that? Well, first off, I want to say one other thing. Okay. You said that, and we will come back to that. So don't let me pass that. Because I have something really bugged me about that. The part about you really missed 2 challenges in one episode. I'm of 2 minds in that. On one hand, I agree, because and I'm not even gonna apologize for it anymore. Survivor and Big Brother, they're completely different, but they're also so similar in tons of different ways. With Survivor challenges, for me, as much as and everyone's heard me say I'm a Big Brother guy, number one through and through, I enjoy the Survivor challenges way more than the Big Brother competitions. In fact, during Big Brother, if it wasn't for, having to talk about it here on stream and watching it, I would probably fast forward. I've been known to fast forward through the competitions anyway. Part of that is because I already know what's going to happen because of the feed. So Big Brother does have that upper hand. That's why, they don't show the competitions themselves on the feeds. They want to draw people in to watch the show and see how it went down, and watch each episode. But you figure it out based on conversations and stuff right away. So I enjoy the Survivor competitions way more. So on that hand, I would like to have that extra comp, but again, only if we're getting more than an hour. And I feel like if we're going the 2 comp route, we got to have a 2-hour episode, because we already get so little strategy. And that is why I love watching this game. I mean, I love all of the elements together, but I love the social strategy portion of it. And we get so little of that already that I really feel like having that extra competition again. And I think it might have just gotten to the point where it was too difficult to fit everything in that one jar, that they're like, we got to give ourselves a little bit room to breathe. If we're going to have the reward comps, I do agree. I feel like, they should be separate from the regular comps, beyond just like a couple like Flint and that type of stuff. That's kind of synonymous with
Yeah.
immunity at this point. But besides that, maybe one or two other things. Really, I feel like most immunity comps should be separate from the actual, or sorry, the reward comps anyway should be separate from the immunity comps. That being said, we're gonna have to get an extended time because there's no way that you can accurately fit all this info. And one thing I will say too with that is I know in or even fairly early on, we still had stuff like exile and all these other things that kind of took you away from the game. But I feel like where it's a lot like those were every few seasons. They would have it for one season, maybe it really played well, or they were shooting back to back, so they weren't sure how it was playing. So they would do it 2, maybe 3 seasons in a row, 4 at the max, and then they would stop. And then it would go back to the normal format for a while. And I feel like that has become such a staple now that we're always having almost every episode, every season for the last 10 seasons almost, last 5 years, we've had that segment of get everyone, I call it the mystery 3, get the mystery 3 on another island and have, or even sometimes it's just one person, but they always got to have that extra island now where it's some type of advantage or some type of punishment that's also taking part of that space. So if they were to replace that, maybe, but also too, that segment doesn't take up as much time as the competitions did. Right. So, if we were to just get rid of that portion altogether, I'm fine with, and then kick it out an extra 30 minutes, have a 15-minute immunity comp, because that's not as high stakes. You don't have to show everything. Get a 15-minute immunity comp, and then, we still have a little more time. Again, after last week, I'm 100% on the hour and a half mark. I feel like it's a perfect mix. 2 hours sometime. I mean, obviously premiere finale still got to be 2 hours, but it doesn't make, it's not as dragging. It's a perfect spot, I feel like. And I don't know if that was experimental, or I don't know why they did that I've not seen them do that. Besides, I haven't seen Big Brother do that either, except for like sometimes they'll have their finales at an hour and a half. I don't understand why they had an hour and a half, unless it maybe was just they got permission to, hey, let's try this as an experiment and see what the feedback is. I definitely, I'm pretty sure I voiced my opinion somewhere out there, and I'll continue to do it because I just feel like it's the best way for these. And again, I feel the same way for Big Brother. I'm on board with hour and a half episodes for that now, as opposed to 2 hours. But we got to have a little bit more time to see what's going on. So for that reason, I know I'm rambling a lot, but I that's one part of it where I'm like, I completely agree, and I also completely disagree, because I agree that I want it, but I don't feel like they will execute it properly. And so I feel like they need to, I don't know. I just want to know more of what's going on, more details about the decision-making, because what we get. Sometimes maybe that's all it is, but a lot of the times, we're trimming not just the fat, but a lot of the meat. And I want to actually see what's going on and know the real reasoning behind that. So you asked me another question, and I told you, don't let me forget. I kind of forgot what it was. And I've also been talking a while. So, it was something about, with, Gabler and his advantage, I think. But we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, no, just getting into the actual episode of today, we come back, from, Vesey going to tribal council last time. And first thing right off the back is Cody and Jesse talking about, hey, like maybe it's NECA's time, because she didn't do well in these last couple challenges. And it's really funny that now it's coming to a head right after tribal council, as opposed to before tribal council, when you had an opportunity to make a play of that nature.
Yep. Nope, I agree. For me, my biggest issue with the advantage, we're still talking about Vesey. I was fixing my deal, but yes, no, I agree 100%. And at this point, it's still early enough that they're just scrambling, trying to find really whatever reason. I mean, there is a little bit of substance at this point, but also too, remember, we're used to, and even if it's not something that you're constantly reminding yourself, they're not constantly advertising. In the intro of the premiere, we're always getting 39 days, and now we're down to 26. So what a lot of people also probably aren't realizing, and maybe just weren't even aware. I mean, when you stop and try and do the math, you can figure it out really easily, but just not even really thinking about the fact that old format, 39 days, there was usually at least one day where there was just nothing. Sometimes they had two. So
Yep.
now they are cramming so much into these days, which I'm fine with. I prefer the 39-day route, but I as we said in the premiere, I'm fine with it because we're able to get more restrictions. They have less food provided for them. They have to hunt more. And even though I do like the social strategy part of it, I really enjoy watching how that physical deprivation really affects their line of thinking. Because even if you are being malnourished, that just alone can cause so many like issues, that can make your brain have all kinds of different ways of thinking. So, I like the extra stuff that we're getting from it, but we're not getting as much time for them to actually develop these bonds, really start coming up with solid alliances. Because I don't think that we've really, I mean, we've had a few like semi ones, but I don't think, and you remind me because you watched the last two seasons way more recently than I have. I don't think we've had any real solid early day alliances formed like we're used to with the 39-day route since switching to the 26. I mean, there have been alliances, but they haven't really grown and tightened as much as we're normally used to. Usually in the first few days, we see some solid structures and there's so much scrambling. And even now, like we're kind of past those first few days, but they still are constantly like things are changing because they're already going to tribal and they're already going to challenges and stuff. So I don't think we've really gotten that same type of group that we're used to. And I feel like that's having a big impact on some of the decision making.
I think for the last several seasons, we've seen more pairs and trios of people making alliances, not so much a group.
Yeah.
In several seasons back, we've had, it's, these are the final six. This is, these are like the group or the alliance of seven is going to be, now it's more like, hey, we got a voting block of two. All right, with those two, all right, with these two, and we'll see who double crosses each other 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. And you do see that with Cody and Jesse, with tonight. And then you also see Dwight and Noella really solidifying a bond right off the bat after Tribal Council with the title of the episode being something about divorce or something like that. Basically, Jesse and Dwight are basically both under the impression that they're going to split up from each other, and no longer be each other's pairs, which is a huge deal for the rest of the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I thought that was a very interesting point that we saw because they're both kind of like, oh, the other person did me dirty. I mean, Jesse's not necessarily like he did me dirty, but he's kind of like he kind of is just going with the flow. He's doing what he wants to do, and so he didn't necessarily go against me, but he didn't go with me. And I still like him. I don't necessarily want him gone. I'm not going for that directly. But at this point, if he goes, I'm going to cut my losses. I don't really care. Like I 51 want him, 49 if he goes, that's fine. And it's a pretty even split. And I thought that was interesting because again, on the flip side, Dwight's like, oh yeah, like he's, we're still, again, I'm not ready to dump him, but he is sleeping on the couch tonight. And I thought that was really funny. I caught that because he's like, Dwight's the one sleeping on the couch. Or sorry, Dwight said Jesse's the one sleeping on the couch. Or Jesse's like, I tried talking to him and I couldn't get him to listen, and he's doing his own thing. So it's really interesting seeing that dynamic between those two and how that's not, I mean, you could kind of see the shakiness in the beginning, but it really still is not very solid. And it's only a matter of time before that crumbles. I mean, something can happen with Cody and he gravitates towards him, but I really feel like unless something really big happens between Jesse and Cody, we're not going to have to, or we're not going to see Dwight and Jesse together too much more moving forward.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've kind of been all over the place, but let's see here. We kind of grouped over, what was it? Vessie's thoughts coming back from the vote. We go to back at Baca, as I've always put it in my notes. They talk about how, Gabler's going further downhill again. We got a lot of that last episode. They're very nervous about Gabler. They're basically like, are we going to, if we go to tribal, we know who's the vote. Like, it's very obvious. We don't really have to guess. It's very obvious who we're voting for, and so that's still a major concern of theirs. I was, I liked the shift. I liked the change in the mood we were going in, because we initially go from that, which was the main sentiment last week. I mean, even the people, and we'll get to some of the people that kind of defended him this week. Even last week, they were still kind of like, yeah, I don't know. He is looking a little worse for wear. I mean, even Sammy last week said, he's not in the best spot, but I still want him. So, they all have at least addressed at some point that he's not, he is struggling. But Sammy is like, he's really trying to make moves. And it's like this episode, the little bit that I saw him tonight, every episode, I'm like, I'm seeing his age a little more and more, but he still is very smart for his age, and he's doing very well, far better than many players, 5, 10, 15, 20, even 30 years older than him have done. And I really, I don't know that it's the best move for him. I understand why he's doing it. He's secure with Gabler. I, from a alliance standpoint, I think it was what he did tonight was really good. I don't know that that's the best alliance for him, just because of the condition Gabler's in. But that being said, the fact that that is where we're at, I was very impressed with what Sammy did, and I was very impressed with what Gabler did, because basically he tells them, hey, they went through your bag, right? They're confused about how this idol works, and they're hoping that you are just as, if not more, confused than they are, and they went through your bag trying to figure out the rules. And Gabler's like, okay, well, they want to try and make me look like I'm dumb. I'll make them look like I'm dumb, and I'll get them from the back. What do you think about that?
Well, Janine and Ellie, they're playing this, pair of girls. Oh, we're gonna pull in Sammy. Like, we need to get out Gabler. And this is one of those moments where, like, Gabler, I said in the first episode, and I kept repeating it over and over again, Gabler's awkward. This episode, I feel like they did him a lot more service, in the sense of, like, I saw his intelligence. I saw him as a player, not necessarily a hindrance in the game of, like, oh, he's the one with the hidden immunity idol. Like, he's the one that's going to cause chaos for for Sammy or for Owen. He actually had a participating part and was a great asset. And Gabler did so much good in this episode with, forming the alliance of the boys, and then playing off the fact that he didn't know how his advantage worked. Oh yeah, no, I'm just going to keep it for my daughter. It's going to be her birthday present or anniversary present. I can't remember what
that would. I will say the one for me, and I'll let you finish that. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Oh, well, no, I mean, it was such a smart play, and I love the turn of events where I think it was Ellie or maybe it was Janine. They, like, walk off. She's like, he doesn't know how to play it. He doesn't know. They were so excited, and, like, Gabler's over there like, yeah, that's some shady nonsense you guys got going on over there.
Yep. No. One comment I will make on all of that is, I thought that the graduation gift proposal, I feel like we could have done a little bit better with that one. I mean, he wasn't necessarily on the spot. He kind of was, but not necessarily. He could have maybe thought of something a little bit different. But maybe he is just that intelligent where he was like, that's all it's going to really take, because they bought it. It's not like it didn't plan out. That's not what I would have gone with, but they bought it. And I mean, he can easily pull it off, because he's just the old pops, he's just getting them. Oh, I'm sure she's going to love that. I mean, like, yep. That'd be cool. Maybe bring a souvenir home for your kid. I don't know that that's one that they would want. I feel like that's one he would want to keep. But anyway, I'm really nitpicking, because I was really impressed with how he did that. And he is, again, I'm a little bit critical of Sammy, only because I feel like Gabler's not the best option for him. But nevertheless, that's who he's aligning with. So it's not like Gabler's, falling over dead right now. I mean, he is, again, like we said earlier, he is very capable. He showed that tonight, and that's just another testament to how good he actually is. Because again, at least on Bacchus tribe, we don't know about the other tribes necessarily, but at least on Bacchus tribe, he's definitely the weakest link out of the 5 of them, and he's continuing to. Or do they still have 6?
No, they
Or is
have
it
5.
just they have 5? Okay, that's what I thought. Just the 5 of them, and he's still able, even though he's the weakest link out of those, and we're seeing his condition, he's still able to perform the way he did. And I thought that, he's like it. He just is very impressive. Like if he was at his full capacity, how good would he be at? And we also, you say, maybe, I don't know if you said maybe he's smarter, or he's, we get to see how smart he is.
Mm-hmm.
He really is smart. I mean, I continue to forget what his profession is.
Yeah.
And like, he really is a smart guy. He is, he's at least playing into a certain character or archetype. If not, he does naturally fit in there a little more than what you might expect from someone in that position. But he's got a lot of book smarts, and sometimes that can help if you don't. I'm not saying he does or doesn't, but sometimes that can help if you don't have like a lot of street smarts or common sense. Again, I'm not saying he doesn't have that, but sometimes book smart people don't have that as easily. So, I'm very impressed with what we saw from him. He definitely was able to turn that around and switch it back on them to where they both look like complete idiots. And as we said earlier, he's able to pull his own in the competition and doesn't even have to worry about going to tribal. So I think Gabler's still in a pretty good position. If they're not overselling his physical state, I'm nervous about that. But overall, I if you take that away, I'm really happy with where he's at.
Yep.
That it's just the way, and again, that's the production side of things that's really kind of showing that. So I don't know if that's just a production thing, or if that's really that big point of a discussion that it was really needing to be featured on the episode. And you never know, because maybe it was because they are talking about it, or it wouldn't be there.
I do think that I think it's going to play a factor, but I don't think it's going to play a factor for the next couple episodes. I genuinely think that he'll make the merge is what I'm kind of thinking. I think he'll make the merge, and then, or right before the merge,
and then
yeah, and then he gets pulled for some sort of sickness. He's dehydrated, like you said, like this is outwit, outplay. Now it is a physical game of outlasting because of food. And I like that new.
I'll be right back. Hold
on. New nuance to the game, in the fact that before it was just outplay and outwit. Now we have this new form of outlasting with just being able to not consume rice, not consume coconuts. You have to go physically out into the water, go spearfishing and things of that nature to actually play the game of outlasting everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And so, I mean, we're seeing all these different sides of it, and I'm very impressed with what we're getting from Gabler. One thing that I did not like, and again, I'm not apologizing for it, this has been a point of contention in Big Brother, so much so that the production will step in if this happens, and they're like, no, they rarely step. I mean, well, they say they rarely step in, but this is one area where it's very clear that they try and avoid it on the episodes. It's all over the feeds, though. They do not like you using production as a strategy. It's against the rules, straight up. And if you're caught doing it, it does not matter. We've seen some of the most popular people on this show that have tried that, and it does not matter what position they're in any format. They're like, no, you can't do that, because that leaves too much of a door open. I'm not saying they haven't let it slide from time to time, but it gives too much of a door open that shouldn't be there. I do not like all of the talk surrounding the rules of his idol. I'm fine with one initial, like, wait, let me go back and check and see how that works if needed. But I feel like we should only have to be explained once how it works as the audience. If they're playing the game, they can go back and ask questions. That's fine. But we should only have to be explained one time, and they should not be able to use, like, going through his bag to look at the rules, trying to find out, what options there are based on that. There should be a clear Okay. This is, I feel like if he's going to reveal how it, or that he has it, which he didn't have to, but he did, if he's going to reveal how he, or that he has it, then I feel like if he chooses to do that, then all disclosures have to be gone over. All right.
Yeah.
So then production should be, one of the head producers be like, okay, so basically he read the rules, we got it for camera, but this is how it works. Or even if they just explain to him, he finds it or gets the note, he initially reads it, and then, they do it for the camera. And then he's like, can I get a little more detailed on that? And then whenever he reveals it to everyone, he's like, so this is how it works. For me, I feel like that's gaming production too much. I don't like it.
I disagree. I like the players who Tony in his season, he had that special immunity idol where he didn't tell everybody how it, he didn't tell anybody how it was used. And then he was like, hey, this can be used at the final four. This guarantees me a spot in the final three. I feel like that's gamesmanship.
You know what?
I feel
I
like
forgot about that. I don't remember all the details. I got to go back and check because that was before I was like, when I watched that one as it aired, and I wasn't as deep into like the strategy part of it. I do kind of remember that.
mm-hmm.
I don't like that either. I don't. And I'd have to go back. Just not that he did it. Let me be clear here. For me, there's a distinction between the players or the contestants or whatever actually like being smart enough to figure this out and doing it. I give them all the credit in the world for doing that, and I think it's great for them that they were able to come up with that. I just don't think they should be allowed to do it. I don't like that they're allowed. So
Okay.
while the move itself, I think would be a good move. I have to go back and watch it in context. While I do think the move itself is good, I don't like the fact that it's allowed, and that's the part that really is kind of bugs me a little bit.
Okay.
But anyway, that was my biggest takeaway from that because I was like, I'm just not the biggest fan of that. But anyway, so we get back at Coco, and initially everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone's feeling great here at Coco, and then quickly it's like, who's got an idol? Do you have an idol? I don't have an idol. Do you want to play Spin the Idol? And idol, and everyone's freaked out. No one wants to say it really, but everyone's freaked out about who has the idol, who doesn't have the idol. And so Carla waits for a good opportunity. Some people are going out on the water. Some people are taking a nap. So she's like, I'm going to go look. And she goes to look for an idol. And she finds something, kind of an idol, but it's a beware advantage. Now, she has seen 4142, just like I think Cody did. I think Cody mentioned he saw it as well. He did. And so she knows how this works. Now, if I'm being honest, I feel like Cody kind of forgot the exact like way it played out. And I do still think that I kind of like how this went down for like this season versus the past two seasons. Season 41 and 42, neither one of them had seen that go up before. Like 42 didn't see 41, and both of those I feel like, well, it still was like the task you had to go through to get your vote back and get your idol was like very dependent on other people that weren't even in your area, so you had no influence. And I think that aspect was very difficult. But beyond that, as long as the other person found it, it was really easy for them to get it into power. The only downside is how long they might have lost their vote for while waiting, which I do think is good. But so I'm not going to discredit the way they did it last season. And again, like I genuinely was thinking going into this season, if they do that, how are they going to do that? Because obviously when they start talking gibberish, at least some of the other contestants have already seen the past two seasons. They're going to know what's going on. I do still like this one better. I feel like the stakes are more challenging because it's, and I've gone back and forth on whether or not I like stealing or not in Survivor. I think I like it for the most part, but this is like, you can't do that. That is the only rule. It does not matter what you tell people. It does not matter at all. They just have to consensually give it to you. And that could be challenging because you get some people, both last week and this week. We saw hesitation because people are like, no, I like them. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want that. And it's something that, for me personally, at least last week when we first saw it with Cody, I'm like, what, like, what significance is that? Are those beads that it's just decor that no one's actually thinking about? What actual significance is that? And so it's going to be hard to like build something around that. On top of that, then like what all significance is there? And you're going to go and try and talk to them and convince them to give that to you. That's going to give significance to it. Last week, I was very impressed with it. We both were,
Yep.
because that was like a two-person show running that. I was also fairly impressed this week. And I haven't been the biggest on Carla, I'll be honest. I really liked how she went about this.
Yep.
I think that every bit of it, I as much as I was like, I don't know about Gabler being like, I want a graduation gift for my daughter. As much as I'm not sure about that, I think this one really is, because she's like, hey, my wife likes jewelry. She'd love to have a bracelet from out here. I think it's awesome. And I want to go through and do that, and she's not just asking people for it.
Mhm.
That could have really been fishy too. She's like, no, I want to trade with you. What's like, give me a piece of you. I'll give you like something like that in return. And then I can build this thing for my wife that's got not just me, but all of us here that I can give to her. And it's like, she's got a piece of the game and the adventure with her. I thought that was awesome. I thought it was very, very quick thinking. Again, and last week was a little bit more dire because he was under such a time constraint, but I don't know
Yeah.
what I would have done in this, once I actually get that. Because again, because I skip ahead a little bit, I put in my notes, she doesn't take it. I thought that was a good move. I still think is a bad move overall to take it because of the risk.
Yep.
But she goes back. It's she can hear it calling her name. It's whispering to her, and she goes back to get it. And while I think the move to get it is a bad move, I think the way she did it was flawless. I think she really did a really great job. What did you think of all of that?
Well, so I actually disagree with you about not going or putting it back. Like, I don't like that at all. Like, if you find something out there, play the game. So for most of these people, you're only going to get to play once. If I ever get on Survivor, I'm going to take every possible chance to make myself get further in the game. Um but anyway, I like that she was able to, have a little more wits about her, go and find it. And then I love the fact, Cody versus Carla, in the sense of like, he more did a little bit more manipulating of like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, NECA, I need to find these beads. Can you help me? As opposed to Carla, kept it all quiet to herself. Hey, I'll trade you my earring for your beads. Oh, your girlfriend likes teal. I have all these teal beads that I've been trading around. You want to trade those for this one specific one? I'm getting a little nervous that no one's paying
Yeah,
attention
I,
to.
I, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
I feel like it's like, okay, well, you have all of these. Like, why do you like my one single one? But again, they're all unique. So I can
yeah,
still like, because they're all unique. Again, it gives that like no one's paying attention to it. I guarantee you, like really big super fans, one or two of them might have noticed. And if they do the same thing again in 44, and there's a good chance they will, because they're filming those back to back too, we might see that where one of the more super fans is able to identify and be like, there's something going on here. We all have different varieties and all that stuff. So when it does start to come up, they might get a little sus. But I do think that you know the it just depends on how the other people. It really depends, because I don't think that anyone. Well, I do feel like I say I would, maybe I wouldn't, but I feel like I would be sus of that in the moment. I don't necessarily think they're stupid for not being sus, because
yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, that's just a cool piece, and it depends. It depends on the people. It depends on
yeah,
your tribe, but it also depends on how you execute it. You could very easily be very sus and be very like, people start questioning you, and it could start falling down and crashing down very hard, very quick,
yeah,
if you don't do it right. But I think that the first two times we've seen it, I feel like it was done very well both times. And so I'm very happy with, the outcome of that. I think it was really good. And, she didn't just give up too, because she had some obstacles to go through. What was it? Gio was a little bit hesitant at first, but he was like, okay. Lindsay, I think Lindsay wouldn't take it for the one earring, and then she got another one. She's like, all right, fine. She's negotiating with her. But Ryan,
Yep.
Ryan was really, who was it last week? Lindsay? Excuse me, sorry. Ryan was really like, nah, I like mine. How about I give you my socks? Which I think in general is just kind of weird, especially when you're out on an island and you've been out there for like 7 days, and your socks smell like crap. In general, I don't know why. Like, he seemed very serious about it. I'm like, I don't know why you think that's a legitimate counter offer. But whatever. But that whole thing, she was able to overcome all of that. And, again, she's like, okay, well, how about I give you all these other ones for this one? Which I would not have taken that deal, by the way, if it was something I cared about. And I care about all that, type of stuff. In the moment, I might have been like, I'm not thought much of it. So I might not have even, maybe some of them don't even think about the fact that they could keep that after the fact. So in the moment, it's like, whatever. But if it's actually something that some of these people are interested in, I would have been like, no, I want this one unique one versus all those other ones. So again, Ryan is a bit of a question mark for me, not just from this, but I feel like this just kind of represents like his line of thinking sometimes. And so, but overall, the main point is Carla did a great job. I was really impressed with her tonight and the way she pulled that off. And she's popping back up for me, because I was struggling with her a little bit, especially after last week, but I'm really impressed with how this went down, and we'll see what else happens. Anything else you got for that?
No, I'm excited about this challenge. This challenge, it looked super duper fun. My goal of the week is actually to jump off of that tall skyscraper thing that they had. It looked like 20 feet tall, jumping into that water. It looked fantastic.
Well, so, going into the comp, because that's next up. Last week, sometimes I do this randomly, and maybe that's something that they're going to keep doing this season. I don't know. But last week, they released images for the challenge this week, and I tried using it for our thumbnail, and I guess the version I downloaded was really bad. It didn't look bad when I downloaded it, but it downloaded really bad. But there are some really cool ones, and I got to try and find, I might look here in a second if I can find, there was a picture of Lindsay, or not Lindsay, Noelle jumping from that. And it wasn't until, honestly, when I was looking back over it today to see if I could use it as a thumbnail, I was like, oh, wait, you can see how it's like, I didn't necessarily realize who it was. I wasn't looking at that detailed, because there were several. And so I just like, behind the scenes, I try and use whatever I can for thumbnails and good pictures and stuff. Survivor, it's a little bit more challenging to find like a good fit, because there's not as many screenshots being uploaded. So I was trying to use one of those, and I looked over it tonight, and I was like, oh wait, that's Noelle. And you can like see her prosthetics missing. And so it came up tonight, and she's just basically like, no, I can't. And regardless of what you say, what you think about Noelle as a player and general person, whatever, I am insanely impressed with her ability to swim as well as she did. She didn't do the best. She wasn't the best swimmer out there. And that's not necessarily her strong suit anyway.
Right.
But I was very impressed with how good of a swimmer she was, because I don't got a lot of like really cool talents or trades, but I'm a pretty decent swimmer. I taught myself how in a big open lake, that I went to growing up. So I'm a fairly decent swimmer. Without having one of my legs, there's no way that I could do half of what she did. And so, or at least just half of that leg. So I'm incredibly impressed with her swimming ability, diving, and all that stuff with what she was able to pull off tonight. But yeah, I wanted to throw that in there because I saw that. I was going over that, and I was thinking about that today, because I was like, that's really cool that she was able to pull that off and do as good as she did from that.
Don't forget that she is an Olympian. Like,
she is an Olympian now, but still, there's a big difference between an Olympian swimmer and Olympian runner.
Agreed.
There's a big difference, but I think that's very helpful. 100%. Which is why that's another reason why there's no way I could do as good as she did. But even then, like that was not her strong suit, and then she had that taken away from her, and she was still able to adapt. And who knows? Maybe she likes swimming a lot in her spare time, and it's another hobby when she's not, running. But I was just very impressed overall with her ability, despite the fact that she's an Olympian. Still having that, that I don't want to call it a disability, but I guess it kind of is. Yeah. It was just I was very impressed, and I took a lot away from that. But the challenge overall, it went by pretty quick. I feel like. I don't know about you.
It really, really did. Baca really led the entire challenge. Their swimmers were just fantastic. Cody about broke his back diving in from that very tall. Mm-hmm. He did it twice, and literally both times I was like, I think he's going to snap in half when he hits the water. Like it looked gnarly, but everybody, so you saw the first ones, everybody was going with the little pencil dives. And then after they saw Owen do that, the swan dive, I guess, or, everybody started going head first. And everybody did a fantastic job. When you finally get to the puzzle part of this challenge, everybody was neck and neck and neck. Mm-hmm. Everybody got the buoys done really quickly. They have these new release ones, which I really like, as opposed to the clasp. They have these, they almost look like bolt cutters where you just go down and you push them together and the buoy goes up. Fantastic adjustment, where as opposed to like, you had to untie knots or you had to do the unclip. Love that mechanism. And then, everybody was neck and neck and neck going into that puzzle, where it was anybody's game going into that puzzle.
Yep. And like I said earlier, the tribes up until this week, and again, still not super heavy-handedly, but the tribes up until this week have felt very, very balanced. Mm-hmm. Obviously, now we have a tribe that is 4 down. I feel bad. I should know this. Do we have a tribe that hasn't gone to tribal yet?
Yes. So Coco has not gone to tribal.
Okay, I was trying to. Gotcha. I was trying to remember that because I was like, I know this is only a 3rd episode, and we've got a repeat tribal. I'm like, I don't remember, because I was like, I remember Vessi going, I remember Bach going.
Yep.
But I wasn't confident enough to say that Coco hadn't gone yet. But I was like, I don't feel like Coco's gone. By the way, just to add to it, this is that picture of Noelle that was shared last week. Absolutely insane. I thought it was cool. So I want to get some more high-res versions of those. Like, if anyone has a link to where those came from, because I tried searching them again today. Yeah, I was trying to find the original link and I couldn't find it. But anyway, so the challenge did go by, as we said, went by pretty quick. And we get basically, to summarize the challenge, I say that Gio set out.
Yep.
Noelle had to take her leg off. And then I put in my notes, that's probably one of the reasons why we got all those photos. There's a lot of photos from this competition that was released last week, but that was a very cool thing that we got to see. So that's probably one of the reasons we saw that, was I got that shot. But then also that Gabler was able to get a buoy, like we said, did really good. Really the position that he's been in, or the condition he's been in the last few days. And then I quote Jeff saying, again, very neck and neck. Baca first, then everyone else follows. Then it's Vessi, Baca, Coco. Then it's Vessi and Baca side by side. And then Baca wins. That's like literally, that sums up the entire challenge. Because it was like, I feel like it was that short.
Very much so. I do
pretty much all of the quotes from Jeff tonight.
Yeah. I do want to mention who was on each puzzle, because I really think that kind of solidifies why they're winning. Sure. So Janine and Ellie were on the one for Baca. They put all of their really good swimmers in front, with Sammy, with Gabler, and then Owen. They dominated that first part of the challenge, where Baca was it was neck and neck going into the puzzle, but they had a good sized lead from Vessi and from Coco at that puzzle. So, the girls were able to pull that one out. And then James and Lindsay, I'm going to say this now because I'm saying them both before you. Lindsay is my player for the girls' side of the week. And it's just because their team is so dominant. I can't see a scenario where she does not make the merge or even far into this game because of how smart she is, because of the alliance that she's put herself in, and because her team has not lost and gone to tribal council once yet. And I think that's on the back of people that they're willing to get rid of, like Ryan and I forget the other one's name, but I know it's James and the girls is the core alliance.
Mm-hmm.
But we do see that Jesse and NECA are the ones that they were, it looked like Vessi was in second place there for a while. And then just out of nowhere, James and Lindsay pull it together, figure it out. And you see NECA just this wide eyed look of like, oh no, what's going on here? Like, and you can really see the downfall of the team was NECA all along because of last week's challenge, how bad she did. We didn't mention it in last week's episode recap, but she really did a really bad job last week. And then this week again, last time it was more physical, this time it was more mental, and she was just not able to pull it out for her team. Vessi ended up going to tribal council.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I was trying to move my stuff over here. No, I agree 100%. I think that everything we saw tonight, it really does come down to the puzzles overall, because I mean, we've seen on the flip side, right? If you can't get those pieces to them in time, they can't get the puzzle. And even some of the smartest people, I mean, you even throw freaking Cochran in there. If you can't get him those pieces in time, he can't get that puzzle done. Like, he has to have a minute to actually sink it in and see what's going on. Some are easier than others, obviously, but usually it does come down to those puzzle, the people doing the puzzle. But if you can't get the pieces, you don't have enough time. Sometimes you just run out of luck there, but it does normally come down to the puzzle, especially when we have these three, you started at 3 tribes. We do usually get it where it's coming down to the puzzle. And again, like I was saying earlier, the tribes have not been, or have been fairly balanced, but these competitions, there has not been really anything where one tribe has been really that far behind that they couldn't come up. I mean, we've seen people that are, in the lead noticeably in the lead, but even the person, the tribe in the furthest back, not necessarily are they in a position where they're going to have to really scramble. As long as they maintain, they pick it up just a little bit and then maintain it, they can at least come in second. And honestly, like, I know the reason that they have, we talked about the immunity, and the reward, but the reason they're doing the immunity and reward challenges together is because it gives whenever they have these 3 tribes, it gives them that extra to want to go for first. They might feel like, oh, I don't know if I can beat them, but I can beat them. So that might affect the way they do it. Whereas no, they don't want anyone playing for second. You want to play for first, but as long as you get second, that's all that matters. So we're really seeing some good positions where, these are very neck and neck. We're not seeing any people far behind. And that goes to a testament as to how good, these players are at the challenges. It's not been early enough for me to say whether or not I think that we have one of the better casts. I really have enjoyed some of the casts we've gotten in the last few seasons. So it's kind of hard for them to stand out, because whether or not you like the last few seasons, I think one thing for me that can't be denied is how good the cast itself was for the last several, except for maybe 39. But, we won't talk about that one. But the cast themselves have all been pretty good, and I've been pretty happy and satisfied with them. But we still have a cast that they are all very solid in these challenges. They are working hard, they are going at it, and they are not letting up. And I think that's just a testament to just how good they are. And it is an advantage to have starting with the 3 tribes because of that, because you still have that safety net. You lose the first one, you get the second one. I never asked you, how do you feel? Because we've seen seasons where they start out with 4 tribes.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Because personally, I like the 2 tribes. I feel like we get more actual airtime per tribe overall. Really, you're splitting hairs there, because they're still kind of splitting that time down the line, and we're still not getting that much more insight, but we get a little bit more. And also too, I just like the look of it. I think whenever you have all 3, It really messes up. I prefer starting with 3 than doing I don't like the swap. I don't like the tribe swap. I know that's kind of out of left field, but I don't.
That's the game. That's
No,
physically the game.
I like the merge, but I don't like the tribe swap.
Oh, some nonsense.
I don't like when it happens. I'm like, it's whatever. Like, I think it's fine. But I personally, I like the fact that these two teams start, they grovel, and they fight. I mean, I get like even 3. I'm okay with the 3. I just prefer the 2. And then they fight, and then they finally all get to a point where now they all merge at where they're at. I don't really like the shuffle, but that's my opinion. And I can't even give you like a super solid reason for that. That's just I never really liked it that much.
I like a 2 to go to 3, and then the 3 to go back to 2 and 1. That's my favorite split, and it's because you see a lot more alliance shifts that make more impact in the late game.
I agree with that.
The late game is the biggest part of this game. Obviously, the merge is the most important part, and I like the fact that in a 2 to a 3 to back to a 2 and then a 1. It makes a lot more sense for there to be more alliances inside of alliances. It makes for a more fun
onion alliance when you do it right.
Onion alliance.
Alliance. Well, yes, literally. So you have your core. So basically the person that has the idea for the alliance, because again, it's in Big Brother all the time. There's been some very good applications of it. There's been some people that haven't done it very well. But basically you have your core, and then you have, which is basically you, like you come up with the idea. Then you get your main person. Doesn't matter anything outside of this. This is my main person. This is my ride or die. You know, something can always change later on, but at least overall, this is my person. Then you have another third that you convince, hey, the 3 of us were solid. Then you get another third that you convince, hey, the 3 of us are solid. And then you get like all 5, sometimes up to 6, where you're like, hey, we're all solid. So that way you are still within the inner alliance that you are covered on all bases. But the trick is you have to make sure that all those people don't ever figure it out, because you want each one of those to believe you are my one ride or die. Does not matter. Right. You are my ride or die. So we've got a lot of those. I do agree it does mix up the strategy and the alliance structure. I've tried to really allow myself to just be like, listen, if this is part of the structure of the game itself, like I feel like the game changes over time. Like again, with Big Brother, it wasn't until later on, and you'll find out watching all the seasons, it wasn't until like season 5, I want to say season 5, where the veto was introduced, where 2 people get nominated and then someone can actually win a challenge to take one of those nominations off. That was like start of season 5. It's now part of the structure, right? So I try and look at some stuff as like, could this be a structural change that can impact it? Or is it just something that is altering, like taking the game out of the players' hands, which I don't like different types of rules and the format and everything. But you set the rules and then let them play knowing what the rules are and not pulling the rug out from under them, changing the rules. It's like playing a football game and then the refs call, a flag on something that they just made up, but now it's the actual rules. I don't like that, but I try and allow myself to be like, okay, if this is part of the structure, then maybe that can change. But I don't like that they're able to all come together and then, or start out all together. And then, especially when you start out with the 2, because every time you start out with the 2, at this point, they're probably going to split up into 3. And then now that third tribe has to completely start over. That takes away time for them to socialize amongst one another, being able to figure out where they're at in the game, set their alliance. And it takes a lot of energy out of them, where, again, if it's part of the structure, I guess it's part of the structure, but it's an extra layer that they can't really control because they've been rationing food up to a certain point at this time. Now that's completely out the window, and they had no way. They could have maybe tried to prepare for it a little bit, but they had no way of really knowing that was going to happen. And now they have to account for something that they couldn't account for. That's the part that I don't like. I don't like all the shifting and merging from that, but I don't disagree that it does provide a lot of good strategy. So and a lot of changes to the alliance structure. So I'm of two minds of it. It's not something I'm super passionate about. It's just whenever it happens, I'm like, just like slightly twisting the knife because I'm like, I don't like having the rules change on you as you're playing. And I feel like that can be, whether it's Survivor, Big Brother, anything, that can really be one of the bigger problems is you go in like, and I always say, if I were to play one of these games, I wouldn't go in with a strategy because you don't know how you're going to have to adapt based on not the people, but the twist or whatever it is that season that's changing it. You might go in with something that literally the format of this season will not let you do. So I've always said, if I go in, I'm going to have like a couple things like I want to, like, this is what I would want to try and do, but I'm not going in with a solid strategy because you have to be able to change that. Whereas I feel like you should be able to kind of plan what you're going to do. Just be thrown in, know what the rules are, and not have that rug pulled out from under you as you're going along halfway through, the game, and now something changes. Anyway,
that makes a lot more sense why you've been voted out every single time you physically played the game Survivor, as opposed to, I mean, come on.
Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't do terrible my first season. I wasn't the first out.
Final four.
I was like, my second season, but here's the thing. And this is why I always say, people always ask me, would you go on Big Brother? I would love to go on Big Brother. I probably won't because
it's still 3 months.
It is Big Brother. Yeah, 3 months. I can talk all this game. I can talk all this strategy. And I'm not afraid. Like I've said it before, I'm not afraid to reference other podcasters and stuff. Most people have heard of RHAP. Steven Fishback is one of his best friends. They do their Survivor recaps. And Steven is a very knowledgeable podcaster, has done great, was with Rob for years, then went back, and I think it was either Second Chance or Game Changers. It was one of those all-returner seasons.
Game Changers.
And Game Changers. And he didn't do very good at all. So just because you can talk a big game does not mean you can play a big game.
He did make the merge. I do want to say
the merge.
He was first one out after the merge.
I mean, I give you credit for that. He did make the merge, and that there is like a definitive breaker. I feel like basically it's winner, the runner or runners up, depending on how it's set up, and then the jury phase. Once you make it to the jury area, which for Survivor is usually the same as the merge. Sometimes it's one before, sometimes it's after. I feel like it should all be one. Merge and jury all wrapped up together. And then there's everyone before the merge. Everyone before the merge, you forget about. Everyone before jury, you forget about. You do tend to remember those. And it does, I mean, that in and of itself, just making that far, that is a good player that you're able to get to that far. But still, I mean, even he will tell you, I've heard him say it before, I can talk all this game and then go out there and, and completely crap myself. I feel like I'd be in the same position. So it's like, you go in there with all these things. I was not the best player, but yet because I was a returning player, I just had that target on my back as, oh, he's a great, which I mean, I was better than the people that had never played. And I was definitely better than the people that had never heard of Survivor. But I can't say that again. At this point, I'm like, even if we did it again, I'm like, I don't know if I can play because that's always just going to be on my back, depending on how many returners versus vets.
Oh, if we did a viewer Survivor day, you have to play.
I don't know if I could whoop. I don't know.
You gotta play.
People. I don't know.
I would be Jeff. Like it's consistency.
No, not just it. No, if one of us is playing, we're both playing. I've never played you in Survivor. We've never played together.
But here's the problem, and I've said this since the beginning. I will only play an all-winner season. I am the Richard Hatch of my game. I came in with a strategy, won my game. I'm a happy camper. I'm only going to play with winners. We got Josh. We got Joey.
1,000. Yeah.
We got good game players that have won so far. I keep forgetting I have Survivor winner buffs that I had custom made, and like they're fantastic. I need to find them because I have my.
Speaking of buffs, I'm just going to throw this out there again. Anyone that's got a original, not the second, the original Blood versus Water buff that you're willing to part with, reach out to me. Shoot me an email. because I'd be interested because I'm trying to get my hands on one and I can't find any. Anyway, sorry, that's a side point. You just reminded me of. But no, I understand why you say that. I don't think you're wrong in wanting to do an all winners season.
Yep.
But those of you that are watching, if you're watching now, you're watching after the fact. We've been talking a lot about potential, and this is long term. Okay. But you've heard us talking. Well, it depends on how fast we were able to get there, right? But you've heard us talk before about having our Survivor Day, and Dylan set everything up. He's Jeff Probst. He's executive producer. He sets everything up. And he's done some locally in our state and then some in another state, just with different sets of friends, and stuff, but at much bigger scale than you would expect. We want to do one with you guys once we're able to get to that point where we can get all of you, flown out and have some type of drawing raffle.
Dak Chat's dime, not
Dak Chat's dime, not Dylan's dime, not Dakota's dime, Dak Chat's dime. Mrs. Dak Chats would not approve paying for 18 other plane tickets, even if we did have the money for that, which I definitely don't. But we want to be able to do something like that long term in the future. And I know it's still very early on for us to say, but that's something we want to do for you guys. So if we're able to get all that set up, if one of us plays, we both have to play. Okay. If you don't play, I'm not playing. So you're going to have a lot of disappointed people that are going to want to play with you. We've I compared it to another YouTube channel that does something similar with a different type of game. They all go in. So if you think I'm going to play, you got to play if I'm going to play. We'll leave it at that.
I only have winners on my team, so if y'all are watching, we win.
All right, I think we got that.
I have videos of Dakota throwing sandbags, and it's hilarious. Okay.
Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, I'm the most unathletic person you will ever meet.
Winners are on my team.
I'm the most unathletic person you will ever meet. Like I was like 13 before I even had even 1% interest in watching football, any sports at all. I had no interest. Like when I was, I don't know, 7, my parents bought me like a basketball and a football, and I just colored on them. I didn't really care. So I am very unathletic. That translated into not being all that interested in sports until I got older. But I'm the most unathletic person you would ever meet. So that's another reason why I'm like, even if I was at the weight that I was 6 years ago, I still am not an athletic person. Even then, I still looked like an idiot when I ran.
And that is why we will be behind the camera at the first ever fans. Goodness.
But we've told you guys this before. We have a lot of plans. We want to have a really fun community here, and I think we can get there. But that's side point. I don't even remember how we got there at this point. Honestly, that's most of my rants. I rant and I can't remember how I get there.
So Owen, James, and Noel end up going to an island. How about we talk about that?
That's good, because we got to start getting close here to the finish. So that's good. Thank you for pointing us back in the right direction. Yes, so we see one of the advantages, because Baca won that first place. Coco won second. I don't even know if we got to saying Coco won second, but they won second. One of the advantages for Baca for winning that first place is, along with their other reward, was that they got to choose one person from each tribe to go to the Mystery 3 trip. So we see that Noel was chosen for Vessi. Yep. James is the one that goes for Coco, and Owen goes for Baca.
Yep.
Sorry, excuse me. So we get to see them take off, and then we come back and we see that NECA is disappointed overall. She says that she felt like she let her tribe down. And then she asked Dwight, who are you voting for? And he says, I really don't know. And she basically says, well, it's got to be Noel, right? Unfortunately, I hate that.
When someone says, I don't know in this game.
I was getting there. Took the words right out of my mouth. but yeah, he's telling her, I don't know. And one thing I will say though, because I know what you're gonna say, and I'd let you say it, but now you started to, so I'm gonna guess, which is when someone starts saying I don't know, basically is it's you, I'm just not telling you. Most of the time, I mean it's possible, but most of the time that's what it is.
Yeah.
Uh all that being said, I still didn't get any like that was the only again, that is the only red flag you need, but I didn't get anything else from him indicating that she was at the bottom of his list during that conversation between the two of them. He played it off very well, and that's not something I would have necessarily said is his strongest suit.
I
And so I
I
was impressed with that.
disagree.
You disagree? Okay.
I 1000% disagree. When someone says I don't know in a
No,
conversation,
that in and of
in
itself is all you
in
need.
in
Yes.
general, that means I have information I don't want to tell you. Okay? Like that's all it
No,
is. And so
I
in a
agree.
game,
That specifically, I agree
yeah,
100%. Outside of that, his body language, the way he was talking, like he just said, I don't know. And I think he actually played it off really well because I think she really bought, you don't know. And so I don't know. I thought he played it off really well.
I disagree.
Okay.
I'm not another word.
Okay. Despite that, NECA's still not secure and she doesn't feel secure. And so, she's saying Noelle is the one that, we need to go for. She's like, I hate to say it. I feel so bad. And she's telling Dwight this. She's like, I hate to say it, but we got to get we got to get Noelle out. And I understand why, she doesn't want to. She's built that connection with her. And, I understand her perspective, but,
Yep.
she's very, very sure that that's what's going to happen. And that's the other part of that is the moment you feel comfortable, you're gone. And
Mhm.
so, I feel like that was really not the best situation for her to be in. I felt like we had a lot more red flags for her in that. But we go back to see. Oh well, we'll kind of cover a little bit more of that.
Do we want to cover Noella? Because I have a lot about that whole Noella
Well, we
situation
got to
where
start wrapping this up. I got to start getting back. I don't know if you guys can hear all the background noise, but
oh, okay.
I got to start getting out here soon. But briefly, you can kind of cover what
Well,
you're
no,
saying.
the whole Noella, James, and Owens thing, like that was fantastic that Noella played it the way she did, saying like, "Hey, I'm on the bottom. I really need this right now. Like, hey, can you guys let me have this advantage in the future?" I bet you that's going to be something that more people use as gameplay. Like, hey
Mhm,
guys, I'm on the bottom. They could be the leader of the alliance. I'm on the bottom. I really need this. Can you
mhm.
guys just not risk your vote and I'll take this for
Yeah,
myself?
I
She played that really, really well, and then she ends up coming out of it with a steal vote advantage going into a
mhm,
tribal council that it really meant the difference.
mhm. No, and when you said Noel, I didn't realize that's what you're talking about because I didn't want to cover that. I was very, honestly, I was a little bit taken aback by Owen and James being so willing to do that. Like, I get 100% them being like, I really don't feel like risking it because I know you said just earlier, go in, give it all you got, take every.
Every
I
time.
still, but I disagree to that extent that every single thing that pops up, like if it's that big of a risk. I'm not saying not make risky moves, but when you're talking about risking your vote, risking your ability to make moves in general,
Yeah.
that's the part for me where I'm like, that's the only thing where I'm not comfortable with that. I don't like people taking it and just losing their vote altogether. I know it's loud. But anyway, I'm sorry. It's fine. But anyway, I don't like people. I don't like risking my vote altogether. Risky moves all day long. Losing your ability to make a move, I don't like that. So that for me is the only thing. So I understand why they wouldn't, want to risk their ability to make a move, but I also feel like that's a really that's just such a handout, just giving that to her. Where
Absolutely.
yeah, and,
Absolutely.
and I don't
Did
agree with it.
you.
Again, if it's like an ally that you trust, that you have a reason to trust, I know some people don't like just handing over advantages like that. If it's someone you trust, I don't have a huge problem with it. I do think that it's a small bracket to fit in, but I can see a window where I'm mostly okay with it. This is not a situation where I'm okay with giving someone an advantage. I'm gonna find a way to kind of derail this And even it would be risky going back to tribe and being like, I lost my vote. But if you went in being like, look, I had the option to either keep my vote or make sure she didn't get an extra vote and get an advantage. I made sure she didn't get an extra vote. I'm 100% with the tribe. I'm with you guys. I trust you guys, all my fate in your hands, and let's try and knock this out. And if we lose, we go to tribal, we'll go from there. But I did not do this to try and get the advantage. I did it to make sure that she didn't. And for me, I feel like that I could see the nervousness of like, I don't want to lose my vote. That's going to be really difficult to go back and say that I lost my vote. They may or may not believe me. So I'm not super down on it, but I just don't like the option of just giving her the advantage.
Well,
Overall.
there's two different other people that were there, and I 100% agree. James should have absolutely challenged, whereas Owen, I feel like he shouldn't have challenged. It's all dependent on what alliances you've made and where you are in the game. James has a solid 4 alliance. Without his vote, it's a 3-2 advantage still. He should have tried to get that advantage. Whereas Owen, it's a 3-2 advantage. There, if he loses his vote, it's going to rocks.
Yeah.
So
and just briefly, because they change it all the time since they've started doing this, at least since season 41, when they've started doing this type of thing where they're like 3 people all decide whether or not they want to risk. Sometimes they've had it where if 2 of you get it, you 2 get it, and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, they stopped that this season.
I was trying to remember because they kind of did that. They did the alternate version of that already this season. So I was trying to remember because like earlier this season when they did that, I did get a little confused on the rules because I'm like, wait, no, last time it was 2 out of the 3. Yep. So this time it's 1 out of the 3. And I do like that. I like the higher risk,
so much better
reward version. Yeah. Again, I don't think it's a good move to go for it, but if you're going to, from the game perspective, I think that it's a better game overall if you're not just handing them these advantages. So if they want it and they want to risk it, then that's what they have to do. And the risk is going to be high. You're going to pay a high price, and it is not in your favor to get it. So
you have to play the game to win the game.
You do.
And so it also comes with a level of awareness. So like I said,
you do,
James.
But I would say that while you do have to play the game to win the game, you still have, if you don't have a vote, like even we saw last week, Dwight was like, or was it? Yeah, it was last week. He's like, I really don't have a vote, so it doesn't matter. I don't have any influence. I don't have any say. You're giving that up. You're losing that ability to where the rest of your tribe, if you go to tribal, they might care, but they might not. And if they don't care what you have to say, you have no ammunition other than to just sit there and be like, okay, I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't vote me. So again, I 100% agree. You have to play the game to win the game. But if you're losing, and it is a move, like it is still very much like a move, but you then are risking your decision-making power. And like there are other like types of advantages with different set of rules to like not giving up your vote where I'm like, or risking your vote where I'm like, I'm from a player perspective, I'm okay with that. From a game advantage perspective, I like what they're doing because they're making it harder for them to get these upper hands. So I'm completely fine with that. But anyway, I feel like if you lose your vote, you lose all influence. And while, try and go for as much as you can, I don't blame someone that's like, I'm in a good position, and if I lose my vote, I may not still have the influence that I have. I feel like it's a better move to not go. It really just depends on the player. Because there are some where I'm like, no, you're in a terrible position. It doesn't matter whether you have your vote or not. Go for it and hope that you're actually going to get it. It just depends on the position they were in. But as a general, if I had to, like a flat general, I don't like going for it. I just don't like losing the only currency I have in the game, which is my vote. That is the only currency you have, unless you get an advantage like, an idol or something like that. But you're losing the only currency you have if you risk that, and it's not in your favor to do it. So depending on your situation, I don't necessarily think it's the best move to go for. But that's me.
Strategic is also a thing. Having an alliance where you can take those chances is also a big deal. Like I was saying, Owen, no shot. Never should have, risked his vote. Whereas, like I was saying, James, throw it in there, bud. Like, just do it.
Yeah. Well, and two, the yes, I agree. Where your what do you say? Your social currency,
Social currency.
social currency. I do agree. Only thing with that is unless you risk your vote is your vote. You have it. Unless you risk it, it's yours. And you have control over whether or not, unless it's one of those dinky advantages where someone just gets to rip it right out of your hand. And like there's that like that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
But other than
Right.
that, it's your vote. It's very, very unlikely that anyone's vote's going to get stolen from them. If any of them, it's like statistically in your favor for you to keep it. Your alliance can flip on you at any time, much faster than your vote can get lost. So, well, if you're a good enough player, your alliance won't flip on you. Sometimes you have a misstep, and you can at least bounce back a lot easier from, your alliance kind of tossing you aside than just not having any vote at all, no currency, and having no decision making. Because if both those happen at the same time, you are screwed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Agreed.
we've been talking about this too long, so let's we're gonna wrap it up here at Tribal. The biggest takeaway I have is that NECA's over here. She said that she's heartbroken, or everyone came back heartbroken today, and so they're going to be losing another member, which is everyone says that it's true. No tribe wants to go to Tribal.
Right.
You want to stay away from Tribal as much as you can. So I completely understand what she's saying, but she's not necessarily the one that should be feeling heartbroken from that perspective. And Cody also reiterates that he's like, no, we really are all very close, but it's game, and now it's time to make a decision, and it's time to move on. And Noelle said, she came back, she had no time to scramble with the rest of them. So she's kind of she was at the bottom of the vote last time. So now she's really just kind of puzzled. She really plays up that I'm in a tough spot and I don't feel comfortable, because Jeff talks to Dwight and he says, how confident are you? And he says, oh, I'm very confident, or comfortable,
goodness.
confident,
Scaling.
Yeah. And Probe says, okay, well, on a scale, how confident is everyone? And Dwight said he's a 9. Cody is a 9. NECA is a 9.5. Jesse's a 10. He's a 10, and he's very, very confident about tonight. But everyone else, everyone's feeling good except for, is it NECA or Noelle? I think I meant to say Noelle.
Noelle
I
was
meant
the
to
one
say
that
Noelle.
said 5.
Yeah, she said she's a 5 because she really doesn't know, where she's at. It could be 50-50, basically, is what she says. And so she's able to use her advantage. I didn't see her. Did I just miss where she didn't?
She did
use
not
it?
use
She
her
didn't use
advantage.
it. That's right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here. I'm like, she didn't actually use it because
No,
we didn't see anything.
It was shocking because you see her get the advantage, and then she gets no time to scramble, and then you go immediately to Tribal. And I was like, oh, okay, she talks to Dwight, so Dwight's on the same page. We're going to steal a vote. Boom, NECA's going to still go home.
So I thought,
and that ended up not happening at all, to the point where, like, I was blown away. I kind of didn't like the editing or just the way, like, I didn't think NECA was going home without that advantage.
We don't have enough time for them to show us everything, because we're going into this. You're taking up part of the time to show another extra advantage that they don't need to give them. Just have faith. That's bugs me. Is have faith in your cast. You're casting your players. Have faith in your cast that they're going to be able to put on a good show. They've done it in the early seasons without all this extra stuff. Give them an immunity idol. Give them 2 or 3 of those to go hunt for, and that's all they need.
Yeah,
have faith in your cast. You don't need all these extra.
Or don't do the extra island. Don't do the mystery island. Put all those advantages in the island. Let them go search for all that crap. And then, do an extra advantage, not advantage, challenge, please.
Because it's not like we haven't seen them bury advantages that weren't idols before, that were found like idols. So if they had another way of do this to go find it, because literally physically taking them, every time we do that, we have to go through the spiel of who's going. We got to watch them drive away on boat. Then we got to watch them all come together and talk to each other. And then at least one of them always has to tell their life story tonight. I love Noelle, and I think her story is awesome. But we've already gotten it. Yeah, it's the third time. And so I I think it's awesome that she's there. I think her story is awesome, and I think she deserves to have her story told, even in the premiere. Obviously it points itself out. So it's kind of the elephant in the room. Let her have that, and maybe another one other time throughout the season. But we don't need three to like.
Yeah.
Who is James? What is his last name?
It was his birthday.
I still forgot that he was there. I completely forgot about him. Why don't we get some of him? Maybe it's not that interesting, but you're putting yourself in this position. You know the format. You have done this year after year. You're taking them all out there. You're making one of them tell their story. You're probably making them all three, but you're choosing one story to tell. Let's hear something new. Let's give us a reason to be out there, because you're taking like an extra at least 5 minutes just to decide who's going, to watch them all three of them leave on the boat, to watch them all come together, all meet. Most of them are introducing themselves for the first time. And then we got to hear a whole, someone's spiel of their story and all this. I'm like, I like hearing that, but let's save that for another port. Like, we can still have that in confessionals when other stuff comes up. You're having this whole elaborate thing that's taking more time away than if you were just like, hey, here's something, go look for it. Oh, cool, an advantage, right? Or you don't find it. You don't need to keep doing this. It takes more time away, because then you have situations like this where going to tribal, and I think this recap is a great example of that. You were like able to follow along with what was going on, and that they completely red herringed it, which I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that, because I was watching it, and as I'm trying to take notes, because I try and rewind. Tonight I was really late watching the episode, so I didn't have the time to go back and cover it. So I'm like sitting there, and most people aren't going to be rewinding to watch. Most people are just going to watch it through and just allow the confusion to be there. And now they're like, wait, what happened? I don't like that they're continuously having it to where, oh, there's a secret that we don't know that they're going to reveal to us. No, I want to see it as it goes on. I want to see the gameplay as it happens, because then I lose the context of how everything was going on. It's completely out of sync, and it's not what the show was supposed to be.
Yeah,
I 100% agree, because I walked away from that. I'm like, wait, I was kind of expecting, if that was going to happen, for Jessie to be the one to go, based on what she was saying. Now maybe I was wrong with that thought, but
I was like, they showed Noella's
they didn't see her play an extra vote anyway, so I was just confused by the whole thing.
They showed Noella's story, and they showed NECA's story heavily in this episode. And so, like, I kind of gathered that, hey, those are the two that are going to possibly be on the block tonight. We haven't actually said it, but NECA ends up going home without – everybody voted for NECA except for NECA. She voted for Noella. Noella did not play her steal a vote, and it was not that big of a deal. I was freaking out, because I was like, oh crap, like, you're gonna go home because you didn't steal the vote. Like, you're not gonna have a chance.
I know. I did, because I saw that too. I was like, oh, she's okay. Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, why
did you not use it? Yeah. And then I immediately followed it up with, well, I guess maybe because they've had it all kinds of different ways. They've had it to where she would stand up and be like, actually, I'm playing an extra vote, and then give it to him, and then have to call out whose vote are you stealing, and then the person who they stole the vote from has to call out which parchment paper is theirs. We've also seen where they just get the extra vote. Like, I was fully expecting Jessie to go up there and just have a parchment that says you lost your vote, after she didn't. Like, that's what I was expecting initially. So then when it came back to her, I'm like, well, he didn't lose his vote. And then she didn't play anything else. So I was like, what's going on? And then she still ends up staying. I was confused. We're definitely going to get more context when we go back to camp next Wednesday. It's definitely going to be a middle of the night. Everyone's like, whoa, what happened? And we're going to get context. But I don't like that. Like, if something changes during tribal, and it's kind of difficult to edit around that, because you can't really capture them. Like, if you have a live tribal, you can't really capture everything that's going on. So a recap of that I'm fine with, but because they're just editing the best they can. They're showing it to us as they can. But this, they're not showing it as it's happening. We're trying, we want to surprise you. We want to keep it interesting. No, it's interesting enough.
Yeah.
Like, your numbers are not going up from this. Like, and the reason, and a lot of people are like, well, why do you hate on it? Right. Here's my thing. I'm talking too much. I gotta go. But let me just say this. The reason I complain a lot is because, and I said this during the past Big Brother season, I actually like the show. I want to see them adapt so that way the show doesn't die. Because if we continue to have stuff like Edge of Extinction, where it's just pile driving, like the entire audience was like, no, this sucks. And Jeff had to tuck his tail between his legs and be like, I love it, but I know everyone else hates it. It's a fan unfavorite or disfavorite or whatever. And so we're not bringing it back for now. We might see some new iteration of it in the future. And everyone's like, oh, God, no, just stop. We're done. Right. And a lot of people, again, you haven't heard them. I have. A lot of people don't like Redemption Island. I do like it. But I'm fine with it I love it, but I'm okay with it not being there because I understand the argument against it. I understand why they don't do it. But they continue to have these types of things where it's like, you're going to cannibalize your show. And Big Brother's even worse about that. There's so much going on with there that I'm like, you're overcrowding it. You're causing people to lose interest. For one thing, people just get confused like tonight. It's confusing. You can't, like, you're not giving us enough time to see what's going on. And in the time that you have, you're not even telling it accurately. So then you're going to make us go back and recap it later. It's just, it's a whole deal. Anyway, we're far longer. I told my wife an hour, and I owe her an extra 30 minutes. Yeah. So
you have one more thing before you go.
We got to call
your picks of the week. My picks, I've already announced them beforehand.
Okay.
It was Gabler and Leslie.
Okay. I'm gonna write you up for calling those out ahead of time. we gotta have those at the end. So wait till the end. Okay. So my who did I pick as my number one on the female side for the week?
So week 1 and week 2 those? Both, week 1 and week 2 were both Carla.
She's my third week in a row. I still have her up there. I'm even surprised myself with that, but I was impressed with what she did tonight. And I still just haven't seen anyone else that's really popped out at me like that. And then my second, I feel like I'm gonna have to go with and I'm not giving it a ton of thought this week, but I'm gonna go with Gabler. I think that he's not in the best position. That's why this isn't our winner pick. This is our MVP of the week, right? So I don't think he's in the best position. I think that they're teeing us up either for a really unfortunate exit or a complete red herring, and neither one of those do I like at all. But despite the fact that I don't like the editing, or production doing it that way, I still would prefer the red herring at this point, just because I like Gabler. I like the position he's in. I think he's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. And I think he just needs to bounce back from this if he can. I don't know. I don't think he can. But if he can, bounce back from his physical condition, I think he could do really good. I think he's very smart. And I'm just insanely impressed with his, the way he did it tonight. So I'm going to go with Carla and Gabler. And then out of the two of those, this week, I have to give it to Carla. I'm going to give it to Carla because I'm just very impressed, again, with how she did it. I'm very impressed with Gabler. I think he did a lot with what he was given, but he also had some help with that. And Carla did all of her stuff all on her own, which is a step above what Cody was able to do last week. He had to have some help with that. It was a much shorter time crunch. He was like, help, I got to figure this out. I don't have a lot of time. She didn't have that. So I feel like that does kind of balance out a little bit. I still would give her the upper hand a little bit because she did it on her own. But I feel like it's at least worth mentioning that Cody really was. It's not like, oh, a good player can come up with anything. He was like, no, I've got to have help because I literally just don't have the time to do it all. I need help to get all this done. So I will kind of balance this a little bit. But I like Carla. I think she did a great job this week. And she's my MVP of the week. Who's your overall MVP of the week?
Oh, Gabler, 100%.
Gabler, okay.
Gabler, in the challenges and whatnot. I did want to mention, imagine if Gabler wins this game. Like, just flat out, imagine if, like, the red herring is, like, he battled through disease and he battled through being sick this entire game. Like, that could be, like, what he is for this season. So, the way that he competed this week just blew me out of the water. He did fantastic, and setting himself up in a power position inside of his alliance.
Yeah.
He's my MVP for the week.
Yep, I don't disagree at all. And honestly, if that is what the red herring is, I don't think it is. I don't trust them
Neither do
enough
I.
to do that.
Neither do I.
I don't have that much trust in them. But if it is, oh, I love it. I think it's great because they really are subverting expectations. You know, another hot take that most people watching this probably don't care, but a lot of people give The Last Jedi a lot of crap because it subverts expectations in the bad way. I still really like at least the approach of that. So anytime they can throw me off and I'm not able to predict what's going on, because right now I'm fully predicting Gabler's leaving by forces outside of a vote. And so, yes, no, it's one of my favorites. That's fine. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, I do think that, you know, he really did play a good hand with what he's given. And so I'm hoping that that is what the red herring is, that, you know, at least he makes it to the end. If he makes it to final five, I'll be like, okay, they went back and forth with it. It was a struggle he had all season. Obviously, it's something at that point I'll be like, obviously he's been struggling with it this whole time. But you know, if it's just one more week or two where we see him leave, I'm going to be annoyed that they did that, because it's not necessary.
Yeah,
it's not necessary to keep playing that up. I mean, you can kind of mention it here or there, but it's really been, you know, the topic around Baca is if we go to Tribe, Gabler's leaving, and that's really all there has been to it for the last two episodes. So,
agreed.
All right, we are going to end it there, guys. I do want to at least give some shout outs in the chat. We haven't been able to read the chat tonight, at least not as much as normal, but I want to at least call you guys out for it because we appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out and supporting us. So you at least deserve to have your name read out. So we've talked with Crazy Matt a lot tonight. Marine asked a Big Brother question about Dan G. I'm not going to comment on that because Dylan's currently trying to binge a lot of Big Brother. We're going to be doing recaps of old seasons like we talked about. And that's one, you know, Dan's seasons are some that I'm going to make sure he's watching a few seasons now to kind of get the gist of the game. But
there's 75 episodes of season 1.
Yeah, I got to double check the total. Yeah. But anyway, but I will reserve comments on Dan because I don't want to, now that he's in the stratosphere of Big Brother, I don't want to influence him. I want to watch him play it out. I don't know if he knows who my favorite Big Brother player is. I don't know if he's heard me say it, but I won't say it yet.
We had a good long conversation today about I'm going to watch seasons 1 all the way up to 6, and then we're going to do well, do I want to announce that or
No, we'll wait for another time.
Never mind.
But yeah, no, we'll get there. But yes, so we'll come on another time. Mona says hi. Hey Mona, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate you coming out. And that's all we got tonight. So guys, if you enjoyed the stream at all, hit that like button. It really does help us out. If you're new here and this is the first time running this channel, we have a lot of fun in these streams. We cover Survivor, Big Brother, a lot. There's more that we'll be covering too. A lot of different stuff that we like to come and chat about after the episode. So hit that subscribe button, come and hang out with us. We have a great time. And normally we do get y'all's questions on air. Even though we ran so far over time, I'm way past the time that I can be on. So I just didn't get to it tonight, but we normally get to read all of your guys' questions on air and have an open dialogue with you guys. So stop in next time and chat if you haven't already. If you're watching this after the fact, come join us live because we were late today, but we usually go live about 15 to 20 minutes after the episode airs and we have a great time. And, you know, if you're watching this after the fact, let us know. Let us know your thoughts in the comments because this is posted. So we want to hear your guys' feedback. You know, what you guys thought of the episode, you know, whether you agree or disagree with us. And if you watch live, you get to actively argue with us based on our opinions. You know, at least as we're going lower. But you want to jump in on that while we have a lower viewer count because it's a lot more likelihood that you get to argue with us. But there will always be arguments. Anyway. Follow us on DAC Chats, links down below. That's at Twitter. That's where you'll get all of our notifications if any changes have to occur to the stream schedule, like almost happened tonight, but didn't. And then go follow Dylan over at Mike on the Mic. We definitely will be having some DAC Chat style content going on over there. And we'll go over more of that when we have time, but we got lots of plans for both those. So definitely go subscribe to Mike on the Mic, channel link in the description below. And the very last thing, if you guys do want to support the stream, everything that we get right now is just going back into the channels, making this content better for you guys. So If you're enjoying it and you want to support us and help us grow faster and get better equipment and have all that stuff, right below here. Oh, where's it at? Right. Oh, I'm terrible at these direction things. There we go. Buy me a coffee. Hit down there. You can. We're working on getting some membership stuff set up. For people that want to come back and have that reoccurring support. And so we're looking at getting some different benefits for you guys. So we haven't set those up yet, but you can just hit that tip link. Anything, if anything, helps at all. But if not, just hit that subscribe button, and that really helps the most out of everything right now. So. All right, I think I touched on all the bases. I've gone overboard. Last week, Dylan was in the doghouse. Tonight, I'm in the doghouse, and we'll end it there. But thank you guys. Have a great night, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. Have a good one.